There are 6 elves, and there are 6 names. Each one of them has a special name. The first elf is named Private Property. Private property is the beginning of civilization. It's the beginning of prosperity, without which there can be nothing at all of any note that will ever advance our lives in any respect. And the reason for that is that all scarce things have to be assigned an owner, because it makes no sense to assign a collective as the owner of any scarce thing. Not everybody in this room can be in possession of this book simultaneously. You can be in possession of the story I read to you. You can carry that with you, but you cannot take this book. It has to have an owner. And so it is with all scarce things in the world, and everything you see around you, every physical thing is scarce. So of course it has to be owned, and it's sheer nonsense to say that everything should be owned by everybody. That really makes no sense at all. And I don't understand how it is that this idea of socialism ever got off the ground. I mean, the first person who came up with socialism should have just been laughed at and said, well, that's preposterous. Why don't you go back to your dreamland? And that would have been it, right? I mean, that idea should have been killed, about 5,000 years ago or something. I mean, but anyways, the idea is still around. Private property enables every kind of human association. Without private property, we can't even get off the ground. The second elf is named the division of labor. And I'm pretty sure Mark talked about this earlier. Now, this is a more extraordinary thing than you fully know. Division of labor means our capacity to cooperate in a productive exchange with each other. And there's something wonderful about this, about the division of labor. What it means is that everybody, no matter what your abilities are, can find a place within the matrix of exchange, can find a productive employment for yourself in society. And you can prove this mathematically, and I wished I had time to do it. But here's the point. That even if you're kind of like shabby at virtually everything you do, there's still a place for you within the division of labor. Even if somebody else you know is amazing at doing things, a million different things, he simply does not have time to do all those things in the course of a day. So he must have assistance. And if you cooperate, people of low skills and people of high skills cooperate, then both parties are better off in the end. And you can absolutely prove this. And this is the magic of the division of labor, is that it finds a place for every single human soul in the great productive enterprise of global economics. And the more information we have, the more we can communicate with each other, and the more there's private ownership, the more this cooperation is made possible. Division of labor is the beginning of the brotherhood of man. That is the second elf, division of labor. The third is exchange, and I think we need to fully appreciate what this means. To exchange one with another, it's different from just a pure gift. An exchange is a mutual gift giving, and that happens every time you're engaged in any commercial activity. And I can give you my most recent example. Actually, last night at 10 o'clock, I went into Taco Bell with $1.99 in my pocket. And I looked up at that menu and I thought, is there anything in this menu that's worth to me more than what I have in my pocket? And I looked up and I saw that enchilada, which brought back memories from childhood. And I could practically taste it. And of course, the picture was better than the reality, inevitably, but the reality is pretty great. And also, you can't eat a picture, so we don't complain. So I said to the lady, I said, listen, I have $1.99 in my pocket, and it's worth a lot to me in many ways, but your enchilada is worth even more to me than what I own. What about you? What's your sense? Is your enchilada worth, I know it's worth a lot to you, but do you think that my money might actually be worth even more than your enchilada? And she said to me, I'm so glad you brought up this point, because it is, in fact, worth more to me than my enchilada. And I said, well, why don't we just exchange? And that way, you will get a gift of my money, which is worth more than your enchilada, and I will get a gift, which is your enchilada, which is worth more than my money. And she said, that is a beautiful idea. And we exchanged with each other. I handed her the money, and she handed me this little plastic tray of mushy, beans with, And we looked in each other's eyes, and I said to her, "Thank you." And she said to me, "No, thank you." And it was wonderful. And we were so happy afterwards, so much happier than we were before. And if you could repeat this 1 trillion times in the course of an hour all across the world, what would happen? What would happen? The world would be a very beautiful place. And that is, in fact, what is happening all the time. And that is the source of our happiness. The fourth elf is named risk-taking, and you could also call it entrepreneurship. This is the wonderful thing about the market economy, that it enables this tiny percentage of population, these crazy people who just dare to pull back that veil of uncertainty and ask, what is going to happen tomorrow? The rest of us, we're afraid of it. No, not entrepreneurs are not afraid of it. They think they know, they think they're making a good judgment, and they're willing to take a guess, and they're willing to put their property at risk to see if their guess, if their judgment, if their dream comes true. They pull back the veil and they step beyond it. And if they're wrong, they lose. And if they're right, they win. And we win. We win because we get to use the products and we get to partake in their dreams. That is a beautiful thing. There might be some entrepreneurs in this room. You have to ask yourself if you're one of them. They are our benefactors. The elves called entrepreneurs are society's benefactors. And they are what drive history forward. They are what give us all the things we love. The fifth elf is called capital accumulation. If you look at poor countries and you wonder why they're poor and they're not rich, even though the people in those countries are smart, productive, trading, exchanging, ambitious, charming, peaceful. This is true all over the developing world. People are like this. They are not lazy monsters who don't know how to do anything. They're wonderful people who are very productive, and they exchange all the time. So what's the difference between poor countries and rich countries? It all comes down to one word: capital. That means the accumulation of property that is used to make other kinds of property. It is the means by which you produce things. It's the production of things in order to make other things. So that production can take several stages, not just one time. So you're not just making soup to serve for lunch, but you're making the kettles in which the soup can be prepared, and you can sell those kettles. That's called capital. So capital is the difference between rich countries and poor countries. Capital accumulation must be permitted. We must allow people to become rich. We must allow people to become appallingly and filthily rich in order to have capital so that it can thrive, so that we can all benefit from it. That's what allows for the extension of production over a long period of time, and it's what allows business firms to hire thousands and thousands and thousands of people and plan far out into the future, because planning is the key to prosperity. The sixth elf, as I'm calling them, is called, and in some ways, I think it may be the most important elf, it's called the desire for a better life and the belief that it can happen. Because even if you have private property, you have the possibility of division of labor, you have the opportunity for exchange, you have entrepreneurs that are willing to take risks, and you have the accumulation of capital. If you have a culture in which people do not desire to live better, and they don't believe that it can happen, everything will fall apart. Everything will grow stagnant. And society will collapse. And we will be reduced back to what we were for the whole of human history, which was a groveling, teeming mass of nothings, living hand to mouth, sleeping on grass, and being bitten by bugs at night, by the way, which is a very unpleasant thought That's what keeps me kind of believing in capitalism. It's the prospect of being bitten by bugs at night, because I don't like that. But so if you don't believe in the future and you don't believe that you can do this and that you should live a better life, everything will fall apart. So in the end, it all comes down to you, to what you believe about yourself and what you're capable of. And I don't think that times could ever get so bad that there are not opportunities in this world and your lifetime for you to make a contribution, you yourself, to make a marvelous contribution to building civilization. And what else are you here to do besides that? I'm not speaking in a theological sense. We have many jobs, spiritually and theologically. But materially, what are we here to do? We can make a dent in the universe. We can make a difference. We don't know how long we have to make that difference. But you can be one of them. If you desire a better life, if you desire and you believe that it is possible, you will find the opportunities. You will look for the ways, and you can become that one elf that makes the difference between that couple living in poverty and that couple living in vast riches. Thank you very much.